City Lanes, and today we start the women's competition of the 1986 Coca-Cola Classic. As is the case with the men's competition, there's not only great cash prizes on offer, but the winner of the women's competition will be flying with Qantas to America next year to compete in the marvellous high rollers competition in Las Vegas. Well, to start the women's competition, Leanne Moyle and Ruth Guerster. Leanne, I guess you could say you're the underdog. You've played Ruth on a few occasions and she's had the better of you.
You could say that, yes. But there's always first time, isn't there?
Are you a little nervous, seeing as you're leading the home state contingent for the first match?
Just a touch, yes.
We wish you good luck.
Thank you very much.
Leanne Moyle comes from Tigerman in Queensland. She has a highest game of 278. She had a great year back in 1983, winning the Adelaide Cup, the Southern Cross Cup, and was a member of the Australian team in the World Championships in Venezuela. In 1984 was an Australian member of the World and Asian Championships in Singapore and has been a member of the Queensland side from 1982 through until 1985. Well, Ruth, you go in as favourite. Does that put any added pressure on you?
No, I wouldn't think so. It's sudden death, and that's exactly what it means. One game, either you bowl well or you don't. One game, sudden death, and that's what it says.
Ruth Guerster from Tasmania has been one of our most successful bowlers with a highest game of 299. Included in her wins in 1985 was the Sunshine Special and the Southern Cross Cup. And this year she was the winner of the Adelaide Cup and the Devonport Masters and was rated top in the Australian 10-pin Bowling Congress.
And the first match now in the women's section, and Ruth Guerster, one of Australia's most titled bowlers, man or woman, up in the first frame against her Queensland opposition, Leanne Moyle.
And a great start.
It certainly was a light pocket hit for Ruth Guerster to open her account this way. Plenty of pin action down there, and those 3 pound 6 ounce pins. Now Leanne Moyle carrying the weight of Queensland on her shoulders, and a considerable weight at that. There's a lot of Queenslanders in the field, but they have some excellent interstate opposition up against them.
Well, that'll give her a lot of confidence to start. I know that she certainly was a little nervous. She hasn't appeared all that many times in televised tournaments, and that's a great way for her to start.
Yes, that was a much deeper pocket hit than Ruth Guerster had, and of course Leanne has the home crowd advantage here at Logan City Lanes. There's an enormous crowd on hand for the match, and all hoping that their young lady does well. Well, all the crowd geeing her up to go back and get the spare now. She was a little bit of a nervous Nelly start there. She didn't start out nicely on the push away, and of course had to pull the ball on the release. Easy spare all the same. And she'll be moving way left here on the approach.
And picks up the spare to the applause of the Queensland crowd here at Logan City Lanes, and this is how she did it. So over onto lane 12, and Ruth Guerster opened with a strike.
Well, surprisingly, Ruth also getting good crowd support. The bowling crowds, unlike the football crowds, John, they're not as parochial. I remember the State of Origin matches. They're pretty torrid times.
Give them time. They haven't warmed up, I don't think, yet, Steve.
Yes, I guess so. Well, Ruth Guerster's got 3 pins to go for here, including the 1 pin, and she's moved to the right on the approach so that the ball will go further left.
Picks up the spare.
And it's all square in the first frame, 20 pins apiece for the two ladies. And that ball really sliding quite a long way. You notice it there, only just starts turning as it gets down near the pins.
So Ruth Guerster, a real picture of determination.
She certainly is. And what a great bowler she has been, and what a great bowler she still is. 48 years of age, and a very top contender for this year's Australian Bowler of the Year honours.
Well done, Ruth Guerster.
Certainly wasn't in this match play style of game where the opposition sits down for 2 frames and the bowler gets up and bowls 2 frames at a time. Those sort of strikes don't do the opposition's heart any good sitting on the bench. See if Moyle can come back and keep the score square.
And the pressure right back now. And Leanne Moyle just leaving the 1 pin standing.
In fact, it almost went. But not quite, and it's still rocking. Well, Leanne looks quietly determined too, and as we said earlier, a great year in 1983 for Moyle, and she's hoping that this could be the start of another big stretch of wins for her.
And a great comeback. Well, she's a real fighter, is Ruth Guerster, and she's proved that not only in her bowling, but in her life as well. We'll elaborate on that a little later when she comes back up to bowl, but she really has been a fighter. But now it's back with the local lass, Leanne Moyle.
Very quick push away then by Leanne, but it looks like it's going to be a good one for her. Yeah, she really got stuck straight into that shot. She knew what she wanted to do, and off she went. And look at this ball hit the pins. A beauty. Well, I don't know what weight ball she's bowling, but that looked like it was about a 30-pound bowling ball, the way it hit those pins and pushed them back into the pit area. Excellent shot, and a double, and opens up a big lead now, probably 20-some pins. Perhaps a little eager again. 21 pins ahead. Pulled that shot a little bit. It went to the left. And, of course, the result of only 8 pins. 87 in the 4th frame for Leanne Moyle. And opponent Ruth Guerster, 66. 21 pins the difference. A handy lead to have over the former Australian champion.
Leanne Moyle gets the spare.
Yes, pinpoint accuracy on that spare too, and she's looking all of a sudden the favourite, John.
But you never underestimate Ruth Guerster.
Absolutely not.
Leaving just the 1 pin standing there for the spare. I mentioned that she has been a fighter, Steve, and you might like to elaborate on that.
Yes, well, Ruth comes from East Germany and had to escape from East Germany before she migrated to Australia. And there was quite a story attached to that. It took her a number of days to get away from authorities, and she finally made it to freedom in the West and then migrated to Australia in the late 50s. But that's been the trait of her life in bowling. She's been a great fighter and a great monument to the game. And, of course, is installed in the Australian 10-pin Bowling Congress's Hall of Fame for her feats on the lanes and off the lanes. And, incidentally, a very much a traveller with Qantas, I would think, over the years. She's had more overseas trips than any other Australian bowler. And there's some inveterate travellers around.
Ruth Guerster fighting hard to get back into this match as she moves over to lane 11. Unlucky.
Well, unlucky and lucky. She was unlucky not to get a strike as it's turned out, but let's have a look at this pin action. Almost a strike, but almost a 6 count. Well, Ruth only the 5 pin to go for. I would think that she'll get this one. There's a story attached to that 5-pin too, John, and I might just recount that. A couple of years ago on a TV show, Ruth had the 5-pin. She had Jill Coombs of Queensland gone for all money and missed that 5-pin, and she said today there wasn't any way in the world that she would miss it. So that was the cause for that smile then.
And that little point was at one Steve Mackey.
It certainly was. Oh, what a good ball that was. Still 21 pins ahead, and boy, was that a ball and a half by Leanne Moyle. A much improved bowler. Look at this pin action now. Ball enters the pocket. The 5-pin goes to the left, and the 6-pin just fails to nudge the 10-pin out of the way. But looking the goods. Average. And that's a much better shot by Ruth Guerster. That was a ball in which she drove it towards the pocket. A lot more turn on it as it hits the pins there, you can see. But that 6-pin failing to hit the 10 once again. Well, the ladies have bowled a pretty good match here. Ruth has had 4 9s in succession in the 9 frames, and she's had 3 strikes. Leanne Moyle's had 3 strikes and 3 9s. So they're certainly nudging the strike area right through the whole game.
And the spare for Ruth Guerster.
Yes, as we saw Leanne do, Ruth moved way left and used all of the lane. There's 42 inches across there. No point in bowling right down the right gutter for it. She used the whole lane. Let's see what Leanne does now. Looking for a strike. That's cut the deficit now a pin at 20 pins, the difference. 163 in the 8th, plays 143. Bottom of the 9th for Leanne Moyle, and she's faced with these 2 pins in the corner. She left it earlier on and spared it without any problems. Second frame, to be precise. Let's see what she can do this time. Well, Leanne had some big games in the qualifying rounds here at Logan City Lanes, 245 and a 246. Ruth's best were 210, 212 and 201. So on the basis of high scores, Leanne certainly got that title. 246 was her best. Well, 10th frame, she can win it with a strike. Ruth Guerster's still alive. Ruth has room for a 193. Leanne Moyle needs to get a spare for a small 200. So this next shot by Leanne Moyle, and that was a very nervous looking 8, will either win or lose her the match.
And you could see the nerves as she released that ball. I'm sure those nerves are really tingling now.
Oh, good spare.
Beautifully bowled.
Yeah, she took a deep breath there. But I'm very impressed with this game of Leanne Moyle. She's been very purposeful in this game. Got up in that 4th and 5th frame with those 2 strikes, and she's only had 3 in the whole game, and they were a couple of beauties under pressure. Well, Leanne looking to stay behind the foul line now and hit enough pins to keep Guerster out of the match. She does.
That wins it for her. Well bowled, Leanne Moyle. Finishing with a 201.
And sadly for Ruth Guerster, that 4-pin being carried that time. Well, she left the 4-pin a couple of frames ago when she visited that lane. If that had been a strike 2 frames ago, may well have been a different finish, but not to worry. And Ruth Guerster now finishes 10th in the tournament. She will win a small cheque. And she certainly brought more honours to the Apple Isle. Well, I always knew that Ruth Guerster would finish with some strikes. The pressure was off then, and perhaps she'll look at this replay and say, yes, I should have relaxed a little bit earlier. The nines that she had, 4 of them in a row, quite often the sign of trying to do a bit too much to the ball instead of relaxing at the release.
Well, a great finish by Ruth Guerster, but unfortunately the bird had flown. 201 to 193, the winning margin for Queensland's Leanne Moyle. There in the middle of the match let you down.
That's the way it goes. Like one game much, but Leanne bowled very well, so I wish her all the best for the next few matches.
Thanks very much, and there's your check, Ruth, for finishing in 10th position.
Thank you very much for having me.
Well, Leanne, congratulations. How are the nerves now?
Oh, a lot better, thanks, John. A lot better.
You've got a tough match coming up against Carol Giannotti in your next go.
I certainly have. She's a very good bowler.
Well, you've started well. I hope for your sake it continues.
Thank you.
We'll be having that match between Carol Giannotti and Leanne Moyle coming up shortly from the Coca-Cola Classic. The next match, though, that we'll have for you will be a continuation of the men's series here from Logan City Loans.